What's up, everybody? Mike back here with the Z-Man Show, taking a look at The Walking Dead Daryl Dixon. And guys, I know I was a little iffy on last week's episode, and I was just kind of questioning things. But I'll tell you, after watching tonight's episode, I was just like, wow, times like wow, wow, wow. There was a lot going on in tonight's episode, but I felt like it was progressing the story pretty well. I don't feel like they were wasting much time and they were getting kind of straight to a lot of things. But it wasn't just that. I just felt like there was meaningful dialogue, meaningful deaths, some backstory around Daryl. Anyways, a lot of great things to talk into. So let's jump into it here, and I'm going to just hit the highlights. But yeah, let me know in the comments if you thought tonight's episode kind of recentered everything and kind of really pushed us ahead, because I know the last episodes, I just felt like it was kind of dragging a little bit. But anyways, that aside, so first off, let's get to Isabelle. So she's with Quinn, and she's in this lavish little place, and apparently she was drugged on the way in because I guess she couldn't sleep or whatever, and I think it was done against her will, more than likely. But anyways, she's with Quinn, and Quinn, I know the guy seems like kind of a snake maybe, but I feel like this dude genuinely really wants to be with her, and with no sinister motives other than just he loves her, So I find it's a little hard, because clearly Isabel's not on board with this. In fact, we see her sharpening a piece of, I think it was a mirror or something like that. She tore off, but she sharpened it like crazy, so it's basically as sharp as a razor blade. And there was a point when she could have easily taken Quinn out, but I guess it was looking at him and just seeing that he was just totally devoted to her. She was just like, I don't know, she couldn't do it, and obviously with everything with her and God and being a nun, that's got to weigh heavy and huge on her heart too. To kill someone, there's no way. And but I think there's some other things that she's fighting against too. And anyway, he like I said, serving her eggs and whatever. Which good point there. I'm just glad I just said that. There was a very interesting scene where the assistant brought in, and she said, so a very close friend of ours brought these eggs in, and she's like, I'm not hungry. And anyway, she says some other comment and kind of moves the plate to the side. And I didn't think anything of it at first, but my wife was like, hey, she moved that plate. And I was like, what's going on here? And we find out there's like one of those little birdie notes, right? The little thin paper or whatever. Now, we don't know what it said and who sent it for that matter, but does that mean that assistant is kind of maybe a little double agent, maybe working for somebody else? I don't know, the Nest maybe? Hard to say. Maybe we'll find out as time moves on. But then we see a moment where Isabelle almost wants to cut herself again. Anyway, so she's battling a lot of things here, and eventually she gets to reunite with Daryl, but it's not the way we wanted them to reunite. So let's push past that. So let's talk about Laurent and Daryl's expedition with Aslan. And I thought Aslan was a cool character, and we were starting just to get to know him. And this is what I hate again with the show. You start to learn about these people and whatever like that, and just as soon as you get to know them, off they go. They're dead. And so, again, I didn't love that part, except I loved his character and just his style and everything that he had gone through, at least from his story about losing his wife and child and this and that, and then he found another purpose again. And so, it was kind of existential and philosophical on his end. But the zombies, I guess, got him while I guess he was keeping watch out there or something. But I thought that was a little odd. I guess somebody had to keep watch. Maybe that was true. But what drew the zombies even over to that doorway where Daryl and Laurent were sleeping? Was it the light, maybe? Hard to say, but whatever. Poor Aslan gets it, and Daryl finishes him off and whatnot. But the big bomb drop, as the next morning they go over to get to the boat, and it's gone. And Daryl just unleashes. He's like, F, what in the, what is going on? Why? After all this? And then he looks at Laurent, and Laurent is just so, calm and, just eerily quiet. And Daryl just picked up on it immediately. He's like, you did this. And he did. That little shit cut the boat loose. And I felt just as much anger as Daryl. Norman Reedus, nice job. We've always seen Daryl get mad and angry, but he really unleashed on this kid. Just unleashed like a father might would on a son or this or that, just kids, they vary up to 1,000. And, but anyways, he does, and then Laurent starts to tear up, and it's because he wanted to stay with Daryl. He's afraid of losing him because he's lost everybody else in his life. And after he said that, and then Daryl, he takes a breath and tries to recapture himself, and he says, I'm sorry, I didn't mean it. And I thought that was, I wasn't going to drop a tear on that, but I thought that was very emotional scene. I thought that was legit. moment for those two, you know. And Daryl, I think he starts to feel his pain, Laurent's pain, and what he's going through. And so, anyways, they continue on their journey, only to get captured because Madame Genet's men come across them accidentally because Laurent, something falls out of his backpack. They see it on the road, and then just when Daryl had finally said, "Listen to me, get on the river and run, and don't look back," Laurent comes back to save Daryl, or at least stop them from doing whatever they're going to do, which was about to pop his eye out. I don't think Daryl would have gotten out of that situation. I know he's gotten out of a lot of things, and a pretty cool one at the end, which I'm going to hit here in just a second, but I don't think he would have made it out of this one. Anyways, moving forward. So then we get a chance to see, then, as I figure would happen, I mean, I didn't fully call it, but that Anna, the girl who's the bar singer or whatever, like that, jealous as hell that Quinn is all over Isabelle now and this and that. She basically goes to Madame Genet and basically squeals on all the stuff that's been going on. And so now Quinn is in the cell with Daryl, and now he's just in the deepest trouble. And so we're gonna have to see where that ends up going. I don't know if he's gonna get through this one unscathed or not. Quinn's a good talker, and he's a man who can get things, but he's in some deep stuff right now. So then let's get to it. So we get to see all these flashbacks for Daryl and how he ended up here. Finally, we get some context to it all, and it was pretty cool. I thought overall it made kind of sense, more or less. He was trying to get fuel and stuff. He came across this crew that basically, hey, if you capture zombies for us, we'll give you ethanol, for your vehicles or whatever you have. And so Daryl was doing that. He meets this young kid, and I thought that was an interesting little side story right there. The kid wanted to go back and get his girl and leave with her and go to California or something like that because the dad's over controlling, won't let her go. Anyways, man, there's some of these hillbilly guys who were also doing their deal for the ethanol, and they were going to let this kid tag along. And one of the next scenes, before all the real shit hits the fan, you see those guys going, and the kid is all, gagged up and whatever, and he's a zombie. And I was just like, that floored me. I was like, you sons of, I'm like, man, that is some dirty shit, and they did that for fuel. They killed that kid. They absolutely did. Daryl saw the rope burns around his neck. Anyways, so for fighting, it looks like they get sent to that ship, the cargo ship that Madame Genet owns or whatever, where they're doing some of the tests, and they're rounding up all those zombies. I guess going back over to France. Why they came over for us? Zombies over in the U.S. just to go all the way back? I don't know. Seems like a waste, but whatever. Maybe we'll find out more about that later. But as Daryl finally gets out, and let me just call out that watching one of those guys, when Daryl got put into that container cage or whatever, and we weren't sure what was going to happen to him, they were basically feeding him to certain zombies. They were starving some, and they were feeding him. And when they took that guy, they beat him over the head with that billy club or whatever, and then they brought him over, opened up that thing, and dropped him in. I mean, could you think of a worse death? I mean, to be eaten alive. I was just floored me. Again, these were the moments, all these moments I'm talking about that I just found myself completely engaged. I was just like, nice. This is really good. Good old Walking Dead style. I just feel good storytelling. And anyway, so he managed to get off the ship, but not before we see some crazy super zombie get unleashed that these people have been testing on. And this thing was aggressive, fast. It could climb. It was super strong. It ripped that hillbilly one dude who killed the kid I was talking about. Ripped him to shreds, and luckily, I mean, they're still semi-stupid, but you got to be careful because of that aggressiveness. But Daryl managed to jump off the boat before that thing even gets to him. And now, that's how he finally made his way over to France, washing up adrift on the shore or whatever. And now we see Daryl's back in this another situation where he has to fight one of these things. And the zombie came out, and it was like, had a muzzle on her or like that. It was all tied up, and like 2 or 3 guys holding it at bay. And then the sniper shot something into it and injected him with some kind of serum or whatever. And this thing, eyes went full black. It kind of reminded me of Resident Evil a little bit. I think it was Resident Evil 3, I want to say, when they were doing some of the tests on the zombies and making them kind of like super zombies or whatever. But anywho's, this thing was going out of control, and the last thing we see is it charging towards Daryl. So, guys, overall, a lot of things going on in this episode, but again, progressing the story along. I think the next episode's called something around going home, or departing for home, or something like that. Whatever. But clearly, some things are going to go down. Cadron, he was in the arena. He's saying, Daryl Dixon, you're going to die for my brother, all that crap. So, maybe those two will finally stand off again. I mean, obviously, Daryl will get out of this situation, but I don't know, man. I want to see how nimble, how quick these zombies really are. And by the way, why are you doing this? Why are you making these zombies even stronger? Because I get why they put Dixon in there, I guess, so Janae can get Cadron still under control and wants to make sure he gets what he needs. But you could tell like the way she was speaking in that little speech at the end, which kind of dragged on a little bit, I will admit. But I guess she feels like she's the new president or something like that. I mean, or one of the people, like the president for the people or something of the sorts. Because she's like, we're not the meek anymore. Now we will rule together and stuff. And I'm like, not really. I mean, it's all your henchmen. It's all your arms and ships and helicopters, whatever the hell you have. I mean, you're the one that's ruling, but all these people are buying into it. They're all in there. They're chanting and singing the songs and whatever, and ready to see Daryl's sacrifice or whatever. I don't know, man. This chick is crazy, and she's creepy, you know. And you could tell, and when she was telling Laurent that she needed him to make an appearance, I guess she fears, if I understand this right, she fears what Laurent can bring, which is different hope. This person that will lead these people to victory. I think she wants to be that one and doesn't want anybody in the way, and that's what Laurent stands for. And so I don't know what she's going to do with them, but I guess we'll find out in the next episode when they're trying to escape this crazy-ass place. So please let me know if you enjoyed the episode, if you thought it was a notch above the previous ones, for that matter. I mean, they've all been pretty decent, don't get me wrong, guys. I've enjoyed it up until this point. I felt a few things were a little slow here and there, but overall, not too shabby. So, make sure to check out my content. I do have some trivia videos coming out for you guys. I have Day of the Dead 1985 and Friday the 13th, because I think next Friday is Friday the 13th. So that's going to be coming up this week. So get out there if you love trivia. I use mostly IMDb facts. So if you've already been out there, you probably know this stuff. If you don't, go out there, check it out. I think you might get entertained. You may learn a thing or two. So check that out. And other than that, guys, I will catch you at the next review. See ya.